Yo, what is going on? Wait, no, Stan, did you want to say something?
Hold on. I think you have to do it again because I had to hit for the sound to play. So I will edit this part. So just hit it again. Well, remove. You're adding Bob to the show, right?
Yeah, he's right there.
No, but you're gonna add him after you guys shoot the shit.
He'll just be right here, right? Just keep it easy. Before I forget.
Okay,
Tip.
that's cool. Yeah, let's do it that way. No, let's do it that way. No, let's do it that. No, that's fine. Let's do it that way.
You can leave me out while you're talking.
Okay.
And then bring me in. You can do either one.
Okay. All right.
Look, we're gonna do this.
Whatever's easier for you now.
We're gonna do that. Right?
You got control.
We're gonna remove him, right? You guys gonna shoot the shit, right? You gotta play the video, right? You gotta play the video first, right? He's already gone. Play the video. You're gonna have to hit the button for the sound to play though, because after you hit the video, it won't play sounds until you click for it to play sounds.
So if I hit this, you don't hear the music?
No. So you have to hit it immediately afterwards. It should say tap for sound.
Tip, you don't hear it?
I heard it.
Yeah, we hear it.
Oh, you guys hear it?
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I see Bob. He's nodding too. He hears it.
All right, cool. As long as you guys can hear it, because I couldn't, and it made me a little worried that I was like, well, I can't hear anything. Never mind. I just wasted 2 minutes for you guys' time.
All good. You're right.
All right, guys. You guys have a great show. Thanks, Bob.
Right.
Love you, man.
Peace. I start over.
So we started over with the show, the thing.
Yeah, I'm leaving now. Bye.
All right, get the hell out of here. You and your unconnected beard.
Oh.
This fucking guy. All right, ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it for real now.
Let's go.
You know, every offseason, you should always spend your time reflecting in the mirror to, more importantly, level up. And that's what this podcast is specifically here to do with your boy Natter alongside the Tip Major Man. Introduce yourself.
Man, what is up, Natter? How you been, bro?
I know it's been a minute. I was sitting there celebrating the loss of the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And you know what? I decided to relax and just enjoy the fact that they lost. How about you?
Man, same. I enjoyed the Chiefs losing, although the Eagles won, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But you know what, Natter? This guest that we have on,
I'll let you do it
this week. Bob Harris, everybody. Here he is, the Hall of Famer himself, football diehards, new guy at Football Guy, Sirius XM Radio, you name it, the nicest guy on the planet. And you know what else? Well, I'm gonna tell you something. We went out to Vegas with the Football Guys retreat. He can move. And look, I gotta tell you, Bob was running up and down those halls, and I was trying to keep up with Bob. And I was like, Bob, how do you stay in shape so much? He's like, Peloton. And he's just selling Peloton to me. But Bob, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, guys. Thanks. Good to see you, Natter. Good to see you, Tip. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to a joint. I hate to say the off season. It's like the altar season, right? It's the NFL, the 365-day-a-year reality show, the gift that keeps on giving, the thing that takes us from regular season to playoffs to Super Bowl to combine to free agency to draft to post-draft mini camps to mandatory mini camps to training camps, and then the season starts all over again. It's a joyous ride, and one that I've been taking for many years now. People are probably not going to realize this. I'm quite old, and I've been doing this quite a while, and just the intensity ratchets up a little bit more every year. And I'm here for it, guys. I'm here for it.
Look, I'm here for it too. I tell you what, I'm also here for it. I'm here for the season of lies. I listened to Cecil Lammy's
season of lies.
The season of lies. When I listened to that video, I was like, it's already starting. You hear Rob Gronkowski coming out of retirement, supposedly. Now he says he's not coming out of retirement. Who knows what Aaron Rodgers, the whole type of this part that we're about to get into, guys, is the fun part of what we do as content creators. Is we just have a bunch of content to create because of all
Matthew Stafford mysteriously running into Tom Brady in the slopes.
Right.
Oh yeah.
There are no accidents, people. But the lying season thing, the great thing, and I've talked to Sigmund Bloom about this over the years, and Cecil and I have talked about it, and it's true. The combine, there are 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, prior to the workouts, where every coach and GM who's in attendance talks. And over the years, it strikes all of us that this is the last time you hear any truths, right? This is the last time you'll hear some flags get planted, some concrete statements get made, because as Cecil says, lying season begins. The season of lies begins the day after this, because then we get into free agency. There's smoke and mirrors going on about that. But these press conferences, you do get some legit insights, not all of it. You got to still sort through it, go through the wheat and chaff, the sticks and stems and seeds and all that stuff, and figure out what's serviceable and whatnot. But there are always some really good actionable bits of intelligence that we pick up during these combine. This week at Football Guys, my fantasy notebook, I will be featuring combine talk and run through the whole quarterback carousel situation and many other things. But that's the great thing about this week, is you actually hear some things getting done. And on the free agent signing period, which will the tampering period begins March 10th, right?
Right.
Used to be they just $100 million deals happen in 30 seconds, right? Well, all those deals, and now they have the tampering period to make it look a little more circumspect. Some of those deals are being done this week because everybody's in Indianapolis. Right. And so a lot of the genesis of these deals, a lot of the discussions between players, like let's say Matthew Stafford not being able to, see if there's any trade interest in him. It's not so much there's trade interest. There is. It's the value. What is he worth to other teams? And are the Rams willing to, instead of ponying up the $60 million to keep him around for another year? Right. Do they maybe want to see what they can get in return, or maybe they just want Matthew Stafford to find out, Matthew, nobody's paying you that much, right? So stick with us because we're also not paying you that much. So the Rams want him to stick around, but they also don't want to pay him $60 million, and that's the going rate. So we'll see. Sam Darnold would like you to know that 50 is okay. So there's a lot going on, and it all happens centered on the combine. And then we take off from there, guys. It just goes off the charts. We know the smoke that's blown during the pre-draft, like 99.9% of everything told can't come true. Teams only draft one guy in the first round. So when you hear they're interested in 30 different guys, that's not true. They're interested in one.
And of course, that's going to start, I believe, the combine completely officially starts. When was it?
The workouts begin tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're on Wednesdays. The workouts begin tomorrow, and then they'll go through the weekend. Then once that's over, then it's all the free agency will be a little speed bump in the draft type road. But it's not like a huge high end class this year. There'll be, there are some names, T. Higgins, and maybe the Bengals get something done with him. There are a few running backs, and running backs are going to make a little more money this year. Thanks, Saquon Barkley. Appreciate you. So there's going to be some interesting developments, but it's not the volume. It's not one of the higher end free agent classes.
So yeah, that's exactly what we want to discuss and talk about here at Level Up Fantasy Football. But we also want to keep it fresh and entertaining. So that way, you don't just get bored with analytical advice, which obviously we're going to be including here in this podcast and potentially a little bit in this episode. But you know what? For the sake of entertainment, I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball at both you guys with a little question on the spot. It doesn't have to be fantasy football related. It could be real life. Honestly, I think I might prefer it being real life related. But both of you, give me an unpopular opinion. That's a tough one.
Does it have to be football related?
It doesn't have to be football related. And honestly, I think I'd prefer it not being football related.
I have not seen any of the Oscar movies, and I have zero interest in them. And I know that's not very popular, especially at Football Guys, where they're all into the Oscars and everyone's all about that. I've seen zero Oscar movies, and I have no interest in seeing any of them. Sorry, I'm old. I'm happy with my, give me some Reacher, give me a little Paradise, give me some of the streaming shows. I'm fine with that. Don't have time for the films. They take too long, and I have work to do.
Well, you know what's funny, Bob? Since you're talking about films, I went out and I watched on Netflix The Menu. Have you guys seen this movie?
I've heard about this movie.
So it was a very popular movie, really good scores. The first half of the movie was great. And then right at the second half of the movie, it just took a left turn, took a really weird left turn, and just went somewhere else. So for my unpopular opinion is don't watch The Menu, or you know what? At least watch the 45 seconds of or 45 minutes of it, and then just turn it off because the rest of the movie is just trash.
Let me go with another one. Like this is for my people. The halftime show was not horrible.
Oh no, it wasn't.
Like I know I'm going to take at me, people. Like you're talking to someone who saw live the Black Eyed Peas with Slash in Dallas in 2010. Might have been the worst halftime show ever. I've seen a number of bad halftime shows. This was not it, kids. Leave them alone.
It wasn't bad. I just felt like it could have been better. I felt like there was.
They could all be better. They could all be Metallica, but they don't do that for me. This year in San Francisco, I have some hope. This is their second chance to get the boys of Metallica back in the Bay Area, let them represent their home field advantage there. We'll see.
Well, you know, it's like it's a rapper, guys. Rappers are not entertainers. They're not performers. They're not going to get on there and dance. And that's what they're not going to do. That's why you have all the backup dancers. You have Serena Williams come out there. That's what's going to happen in those type of games or type of situations. It's just not going to be a rapper out there doing all sorts of, they might do a two-step or they might crip walk or do something like that, but that's not what they're there for. They're there to spit some rhymes, some bars, but the real performers are like those pop singers. Let's just
what about the one in LA with all the rappers? I thought that was fantastic, and I'm not. This is going to shock people. I'm not a huge rap guy, but I thought that show was a fantastic halftime. I thought that was a top tier halftime.
Yeah, the production value of it was amazing. I love how they did that. But you know what? Since we're on a little negative front right now, man, we got to get this out of the way. All right. I was watching Billy Madison the other day, and it's one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite all-time comedies. And they have the scene where he puts the flaming bag of shit on the doorstep, and he leaves it for the neighbor to get. And you know, my question is for both of you guys, for all three of us actually, is who was the player this year in fantasy football who left a flaming bag of shit at your doorstep? Bob, we're gonna start with you.
I mean, this is anyone who has followed my work knows exactly who this is going to be. I'm looking at you, Anthony Richardson, a guy I was drafting in the 5th round, like almost an auto pick for me. Oh, Anthony Richardson there, 5th round. Yes, please. I'll have one more of those. Yes. And I was so heavy overweight with him. And look, we all know why. You saw the narrow band of work as a rookie, right? But it was phenomenal, right? The upside was insane. You're looking at a guy that, what did he score? I think he missed 13 games. He ended up scoring over 20 points a game. You saw that like quarterback won that lottery ticket upside, which is what I was drafting him for. Look, we had taste of it again 2 times this year, that 20+ point upside, but it was a horrible season. He ended up getting benched in week 9. I do think he rebounded nicely. We'll see what he does this year when he has a full off season, not rehabbing, but instead actually working on getting better. They're going to bring in some competition. That's one of the things that's been discussed at the Combine by Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen, and this is a reiteration of things they've said before. They're going to bring in legitimate competition. And Anthony Richardson, he's there for it. I'm proud of the young man. He's going to work through it. He's handling it well. I think initially, you know, there were some questions, right? The whole tapping out thing, that was a little weird.
Right.
If you're old people like me, you're going, what the hell is that?
Right.
That's crazy, right? Like you don't see a starting quarterback say, I'm gassed, man. Need to play off, right? So I thought that was weird. I didn't know if Joe Flacco was the answer, but I thought when he came back from that benching after 2 games, his accuracy looked a little better. His receivers didn't do him any favors. There was lots of drops, but every quarterback deals with drop passes. But I thought his receivers were fairly egregious in that regard. And there were still shaky throws by him, but it looked way better. I think he hit 66% of his passes in that first game back against the Jets. 272 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. It was his 3rd best game of his career. He also tied his career high with 2 rushing touchdowns. So that first game back, we got 30 fantasy points. That's the guy I drafted.
That's who you wanted. Yep.
Right. And so, look, that player is still in him, but you're going to get him much cheaper this year. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to have some Anthony Richardson, not as much as I had last year. I'll have much cheaper shares. But that's the kind of the direction I'm going. I'm gonna assume he's gonna win the starting job. When Jim Irsay said yes, Shane Steichen, yes, Chris Ballard, you're back. That to me is the side like good. They bring in competition. He needs to be pushed.
Right.
Good for everybody. We'll see. I mean, I don't think they're gonna bring in a Matt Stafford, maybe a Kirk Cousins, maybe an Aaron Rodgers. Like I don't know. I don't know if there's anyone out there. Sam Darnold. I can't see him paying that kind of money if they're bringing him in as a backup. So I do think that's, you know, that he's going to have the job and the fate was kind of sealed, but he's going to go like, I should have checked his underdog ADP. So I will bring it up right now because I do think I think he's like going to go, where are we at? Oh, he's way down. He's quarterback 21. He's going to double digit rounds. He's 100 for his ADP is 141.
Whoa.
I'll have some of that. That's what we should do every year. It's what I do every year. I've been writing my fantasy notebook series. Has been players who let us down or players who exceeded expectations. And should we expect a rebound? Should we expect a one-hit wonder from some of these players? Like, let's say, for instance, Bo Nix. But Richardson's a guy at that price I'll still have a fair amount of. And just not gonna go insane and not gonna get caught with that bag flaming away on my porch this year. I'm going to diversify more. This is like between him and Christian McCaffrey, you know, like I think a couple of years ago, Jonathan Taylor taught us the same lesson and we forgot.
Yeah.
Right. Like everyone, he was the locked in 101. If you had 10 101s in your best balls, you had 10 Jonathan Taylors, and then you got crushed when he had a bad year, the ankle injury, first injury of his pro career. Same thing happens with Christian McCaffrey last year. I probably had every 101 was Christian McCaffrey. Hopefully this year I learned from my own past mistakes again and actually pay attention to them. But yeah, there will be Richardson, won't be as much. It'll be much cheaper shares. And I do think the upside's still there.
Yeah. The thing about Richardson is it was just such a down season for him. And for me, what did it for me is when he, you know, checked out, quit, whatever you want to call it. I called it quit because I'm a little old school like you, Bob. So when he did that, I was just like, I'm happy I didn't take him anywhere because I just can't have somebody like that on my team. If you get hurt, that's one thing. But if you quit on your teammates or, you know, need a potty break or whatever it is that he had to do, like,
look,
hey,
Lamar Jackson takes potty breaks sometimes. Right. That's okay, isn't it?
Right. I mean, it is, but he does hold it into the halftime. So,
okay,
I mean,
fair.
Come on, like hold it a little bit to halftime or maybe go to the blue tent, whatever you got to do. But for me, my guy was Travis Etienne. Look, 9 games with under 4 yards per carry. And then not only that, 9 games with 15 or fewer touches in those games. The last year before that, in 2023, he only had 4 games where he had under 15 touches. So something was going on there. I know he had a couple of games where he missed due to an injury, but something was going on there. It was a disconnect. Some people can say Tank Bigsby was in the mix. Tank Bigsby did run a lot harder than him. He wasn't as fast, but he did run a lot harder than Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne is a really good running back. But last year, 2 touchdowns. That's his fewest touchdown total in the NFL. But like Bob said, we have to have a little amnesia. We have to forgive and forget. And this might be a situation where with Travis Etienne, his ADP is going to drop this season because now some people are going to say, oh, well, you know, the team doesn't have a, you know, doesn't look like it's going to be. They're changing coaches. Well, Willy Wonka, a.k.a. Liam Cohen, is actually going to come over here and help this running back crew. Look at what he did at Tampa Bay last year. He went out there. You had 2 fantasy relevant running backs. I think you can have the same situation with Jacksonville. You're just going to have to wait now to see where his ADP fluctuates. What are they going to do in the draft? What are they going to do in free agency? Is he even going to be on that team? We don't know. So one of those things happen. Once those things all transpire, I think you're going to see his ADP drop a little bit, but then it start to rise. But I think somewhere in about the 6th, 7th round, I'm willing to take a shot on him as a running back, but I'm not willing to take the 3rd round price like I did for him this year. This year, I just thought that I thought this year was going to be the year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I called Brian Thomas. I liked Evan Ingram. I liked Trevor Lawrence. I liked them all. I liked everybody in that. I even liked Christian Kirk. I was like, hey, if he can stay healthy, he can do something in this offense. And we just saw the same stale, stagnant offense all season long, and it left a really stale brown paper bag of you know what at the door. So that was for me as Travis Etienne.
Etienne right now is running back 31 on Underdog. He's starting out the season very low. You're getting him nearly double-digit rounds. He's a 103rd pick overall, so 9th, 8th round, somewhere in that range. I think that's perfectly fine. You can land him there. But I think it's interesting some of the guys going after him as well. Najee Harris, people have a lot of uncertainty. DeAndre Swift, who should be in a way better offense. So there's plenty of value down the board, but guys need to deliver. I'm with you. I don't know if Travis Etienne does, Liam Cohen notwithstanding.
Natter, what you got?
Yeah, I think both of you guys had some really good picks, but I think the one that takes the diarrhea cake is Jalen Waddle. I mean, yeah, Travis Etienne probably had the higher ADP, but in that high power, high flying offense for the wide receiver section, I mean, we all expected more for Jalen Waddle. What is that? 700 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2. And the worst part is you can't even say, oh, he was injured or, oh, he didn't play. But no, he played. I believe it was almost every game of the season. And 700 yards is the best you could do for me. Even Tyreek Hill, who was a disappointment in his aspect, had almost 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. Jalen Watt, 2? I mean, he finished one game with -4 receiving yards. And the worst part is because he wasn't hurt, you had to start him. You couldn't justify not starting him unless you just had a stacked roster, because Jalen Waddle was your 3rd round pick, maybe 4th in somewhere where he fell down. But regardless, you chances are didn't have that many phenomenal options where you could be like, okay, I could comfortably sit him and play somebody else, because guess what? If you did sit him and he did have a good game, which he didn't, then I mean, you would just sit there and just feel so stupid for doing that. Because I mean, with Jalen Waddle, all he realistically needs is just 1 catch, 1 touchdown, and then he put up his fantasy style. Well, other than that, he just was so disappointed. It was so sad.
I'm out.
Was that a Waddle? Was that a Waddle?
Waddle. And the problem is, and that's what hurts the most, is he has such a cool touchdown. It's just a Waddle, but it's so simple, so cool, and we didn't get to see it the whole year.
I'm gonna tell you, like, this offense, watching how these offenses evolve is a thing, right? Mike McDaniels has made Waddle and Tyreek Hill are competing for the best supporting actor behind the star of the show, Jonnu Smith, in the passing game, right? Like Devon Chan is the driving force of this offense right now, so that's a big factor in it as well. But man, they've made Jonnu Smith, they've untapped the potential that he's had all along, the unique size, speed, combination that Jonnu Smith brings to the game. He's a very difficult player for linebackers and safeties to deal with, as he demonstrated on the regular this year. But you're right about Waddle, and especially in a year where Tyreek Hill didn't really want to be the top supporting actor very many times. He was fine checking in as a tertiary piece, it seemed. Maybe wasn't fine with it, but as he said, a lot of it was, he had the wrist injury, just had surgery on that, by the way. So he'll be, should be ready to go. There's been a little, like he said at the end of the season, and to get out of frustration, he wanted to be traded. Sounds like he's come clean, made amends with the teams, done all the things. There are still local observers out there who think if somebody came along with the right offer, Tyreek Hill would be available. So we'll see how that plays out. I would expect to see him back there and maybe have a little bit of a rebound season. But you're hoping Waddle does too. You're not paying for it right now. Wide receiver, 30 on Underdog. And look at the guys that are after him. Courtland Sutton. I'd rather have Courtland Sutton at wide receiver 32. I even take a shot at George Pickens as wide receiver 33. Maybe even Jerry Jeudy, but definitely Chris Godwin down there at wide receiver 35. Chris Godwin. Calvin Ridley, 38. Juwan Jennings, wide receiver 40, assuming Deebo Samuel's gone and Brandon Ayuk slow to return. A lot of pieces I like at later prices. I might not get a lot of Waddle. That's all you got.
So you're not getting Waddle. That's the last Waddle we'll see from you.
That's all the Waddle I got.
Well, the worst part is usually for a wide receiver, they have to have a certain criteria to be productive. They have to have a competent quarterback, competent offensive-minded head coach, and they have to have a competent offensive line. So you need to have those 3 things in order for a wide receiver to be productive. And you know what? There's questions on the quarterback front, just for not necessarily a skill level, but a health level. And I mean, I guess what's the difference realistically?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I clearly things went off the rails when Tua was not on the field. God bless you, Tyler Snoop Huntley. It was a struggle, but he came in under the gun, right? He came in without any, work in the offense. I think his second stanza, the second time Tua went down, what was it, with the hip issue or whatever, he did a better job late in the season. So maybe there's some hope that they retain him. I don't know if they have or not. I should probably look that up so I don't sound a fool. Quarterbacks. Snoop Huntley is a free agent, unrestricted free agent this year. In a class, like, you know, he'll be a backup somewhere, like probably, and maybe even Miami. I don't think that's a big deal. But either way, I do think Waddle is a guy that people are going to be overlooking. So if he slides down too far in drafts, I'll be interested. But it'll have to be a little more precipitous than wide receiver 30 right now, because just for the range of players that are available there right now.
That is a Pro Bowl quarterback, Tyler Huntley, for everybody to remember. Now,
I understand.
Now, you know what? Everybody always likes to wrap a bow on the season and always try to conclude. And of course, when you do that, you have to think of a title, because, I mean, what's a movie without a title? What's a song without a name? And for the 2024 season, we got to come up with a nice title to wrap it around. Tip, do you have one for everybody?
Yeah, you know, in honor of the Academy Awards coming out this Sunday, my title for this season is "I Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest." Look, when I look at this whole situation, first of all, as a Raiders fan, starting off, possibly maybe it wasn't likely to get Cliff Kingsbury in that offense, and it didn't happen. I didn't think it was going to happen because we didn't have a quarterback, but we settled for Luke Getsy, and I was just like, when we settled for Luke Getsy, I knew what time it was. I was like, this offense is going to suck, and it's not going to be good. So I knew what time it was. Then I fast forward a little bit, and I go to a game where one of my guys I was touting most of the offseason, Rashid Rice, gets his knee obliterated by Patrick Mahomes on a play that, to me, as a quarterback, you shouldn't even be making. You should always know where your number one target or wide receiver is at all times. And for him to go barreling backwards into his knee the way he did on a play that was going out of bounds, it just really just didn't make any sense for me. Was it maybe a turning point for them not getting the three-peat? I asked that question, and some people were like, that's a possibility. But I think it was really more the Eagles and how dominant they were. And then to top it off with all of that, you get the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. And me being a Raiders fan, I do not like the Chiefs, so I wanted them to lose. And guess what? They lost. But the worst case scenario happened, and the Philadelphia Eagles winning, because I'm starting not to like these Philadelphia Eagles fans either. So it was really a weird season for me. It was a cuckoo season for me, but it was entertaining nonetheless.
Bob, what you got for us?
Well, somebody heavily invested in both Christian McCaffrey and Anthony Richardson, the brutalist would come to mind. But I'm going to go with off the charts and go with predictably unpredictable. Why do we learn about the NFL every single year that we can't always figure things out? We're now spending the month of September trying to figure out if we should hold on to the guys we invested early draft capital on, who our studs are, because they aren't well defined. I always say, you know, the September is now the new October. It takes a month since the change in the way they operate training camps. But when you look at like some of the like if I'm a fan of team, and I'm a fan of nobody, I hate all 32 teams equally. Sorry, people, I just do. But if you're out there, you know, if you're a team, like if let's say you're a Raiders fan, right? And it's just miserable slog and you can't win a damn thing.
Correct.
All you have to do is all you have to do is look at the Washington Commanders and realize we can go from nothing to something in 1 year with the right coach, you said that, Bob. The right GM, the right quarterback. Those three ingredients change a lot of teams' fortunes. But just in general, I mean, you look at, you know, the way things played out at various positions. I mean, like, I like Jayden Daniels. I thought Jayden Daniels would be great. I didn't think he'd be a top 5 quarterback. I also didn't think Baker Mayfield would be a top 4 quarterback, especially with his coach leaving. Like, at some point, do Dave Canales and Liam Cohen owe Baker Mayfield money? Like, I mean, or did they fix him or did he fix them? That's debatable. But Baker Mayfield's been great. Did you have Sam Darnold as your quarterback 8? Did you have Bo Nix as your quarterback 9? I mean, like, there was a topsy-turvy season at every damn position, right? We're looking at the running backs. Alvin Kamara finishing in the top 10. Chase Brown finishing in the top 10. Who we have? Breece Hall finishing outside the top 15. There were surprises. Christian McCaffrey not faring well. If I tell you the top 10 at wide receivers, you know I'm going to be mentioning Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors is 5 and 6. Jackson Smith and Jigba is wide receiver 9. Wow. I mean, crazy things happened. Also, tight end. It became a barren wasteland. There's like 3 guys you want to play. We thought there was a whole range of guys. And then, we can stream. Yeah, well, good luck with that. Because what the tight ends do on a week-to-week basis, predictably unpredictable.
No, I think you could predict a tight end having 1 catch, 5 yards, hopefully a touchdown. That's what you do. Yeah, that's all you can hope for in the tight end position if you don't have an elite 3 or an elite 2 if Travis Kelce retires. But throughout the disaster,
they're saying today,
throughout all the disaster, there was a happy ending, and it was the Chiefs losing, and that's going to be the title. And you know what? That might be in honor of Deshaun Watson and Justin Tucker, but it was a happy ending nevertheless. And that's all I got for you.
That works.
Yeah, well, I thought it worked really well.
I'll say this: like I think the Eagles won that game more than the Chiefs lost it.
Yeah, definitely.
They had the better roster, but I'm interested to see how the Chiefs rebound. Andy Reid, an offseason spent thinking about one slipping through his fingers. That didn't slip through his fingers; it slipped through his offensive lineman's gaps. Is what it slipped through. But whatever the case, I'm looking forward. And like when we go into next year, like this year, I think we all thought like the teams that we thought were going to be there at the end. We're there at the end. Maybe some surprises in the Washingtons of the world. But it'll be interesting to see what Detroit can do this year with the brain drain of the coaching staff. I'm super stoked for another particularly unpredictable season. Probably one with some cuckoo stuff going over, and hopefully one with a happy ending.
So with Travis Kelce, the whole situation because we were talking about the Chiefs. So the whole situation with him is last season, he was out hanging out with Taylor Swift all summer long, all off season long. He was hanging out. He was in Australia at the zoo. He was over here with her. He was watching her in her concerts. And I think that it really took a lot of focus off of, he still had a decent year. He still, I understand age is the big thing. But I'm curious to see how he handles this offseason. Is he going to come back in better shape? Because I noticed when he first came back, he wasn't like himself. He's always been not like one of those super swole guys like that are cut up and ripped. But he, always had a little lean, slender build to him, of course, with some muscle as well. But I want to see how he comes back because he's already said that he's planning to come back. He could change his mind at any moment, but I want to see how good he comes back. Not saying yet to go out there and get him. But look, I will say this. We do have one last segment, and it's called the mail sack. And this is where we're going to come to you. And all of the people that are watching this, we really appreciate you guys coming in. Please like and subscribe. The Level Up for Fantasy Football show with Natter and myself. Every week we'll have a great guest like we do today with Bob Harris. But we want to get a question from you. And this week's question came from Stone Dog. It was the best question that I got. He says, where do you think Cooper Kupp, this should tell you about the questions that I got. Where do you think Cooper Kupp lands? He tends to think that the Ravens are going to get him. I don't think that's the case. Bob, who do you think that Cooper Kupp, who do you think he could end up this offseason?
I think the Commanders would be an ideal spot. Like if they truly believe Terry McLaurin, who again finished wide receiver 7 this year, a little bit of a surprise, right? If they think he's truly a wide receiver 1, he could go there. I think that would be a fine landing spot for me. The Chargers, I don't think he's a fit there. I think he's more along the lines of the child prodigy himself, Vlad McConkey. They need more of an alpha, maybe Devontae Adams there. San Francisco could suddenly have a need, right? If they're moving on from Deebo Samuel, they got Brandon Ayuk a little bit beat up. So I think there are a number of places that maybe even some that are like would not, I don't know how great it would be, but New England is going to be looking for a ton of weapons for Drake May, and he could be one of those, give him a nice possession piece. So we'll see. I think whatever the case, wherever he lands, I think Cooper Kupp's going to be a huge value, low price commodity, and I'll probably have some shares just based on that. But I think the Commanders, for me, a team that struggled and has some great speed guys, but they don't quite have that possession type guy, not named Zach Ertz, who was essentially their wide receiver 2 this year. I think they could bring in another one of those guys, except this one named Cooper Kupp.
All right. I like that. I like they do need someone, and a lot of people have been speculating Chris Godwin possibly, but a slot receiver would be wonders for them, and it would also help along Zach Ertz. Did Zach Ertz come back as well, and Terry McLaurin? So that would be great. That'll be a great landing spot. Natter, for you, who you got? Which team?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Which team do you have?
Oh, let's see. I got a couple. I do like the Chargers the most, to be honest. I think it'll be an easy transition since, of course, he is in LA, but I would go the Raiders with Matthew Stafford. If the Raiders do in fact try to go after Matthew Stafford, I think they would want to pair another wide receiver with him that is a little bit familiar in chemistry wise.
Yeah, no, I like that one. I've kind of speculated a little bit of that, but they did just get Kyle Phillips, so I think Kyle Phillips is a name to watch.
Let go of Kyle Phillips.
He's terrible.
I'm sorry, man. Sorry.
No, Bob, if you get Matthew Stafford over there, Chip Kelly, he's familiar with the offense. I think there's a situation where I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be a wide receiver 3 by any means, but I would have him as a viable wide receiver 6, 7, and then maybe he can turn into a 4 or a 3.
Playing behind the great Jacoby Myers, one of the most underrated players in the NFL, and the mighty Brock Bowers, who just broke a record older than me, and there aren't many things on this planet older than me. I think that's going to be a hard lift for someone to rise up. They don't yet have a quarterback. I know you're envisioning Matthew Stafford, maybe Sam Darnold, maybe Aaron Rodgers. Who knows?
Maybe Shedeur Sanders. Maybe.
See, it's my favorite thing to hype up Raiders fans because then they get really hyped, and then you get when it doesn't happen.
Look, guys, let me be hyped because I haven't. Look, this whole regime that we had before. I wasn't happy with the front office. I wasn't happy with the GM. I wasn't happy with the head coaching. Now we've got a situation. We got 3 guys with 10 Super Bowl rings under their belt. So I have to be optimistic. I have to be optimistic.
I would like you to do me a favor and send a note to Mark Davis. Tell him I have a barber that would probably be better than the one he has right now.
No, he has the best hair I've ever seen. I don't know.
Oh my God.
How are you a billionaire and you have that haircut? That's not possible.
He's
sometimes it's to stick. It's like you dripping with so much swag that you can wear with kind of a funky haircut like that and be cool with it.
You cannot ever.
Kind of like Anthony Davis's unibrow. Like,
exactly.
You just want to grab like a tweezer for him. He just apparently, I guess it's just like his thing. So,
well, for me, I think. Look, I'm going to tell you. I think a dark horse team for Cooper Kupp. It could be the Houston Texans. And, look, they don't have – Stephon Diggs is most likely not going to re-sign with them. They're not going to have Tank Dell for probably the whole season, and most likely the whole season after that injury that he sustained. And then you got, other guys like Kiki Kuti – or excuse me, not Kiki Minchie, John Minchie the third. You got guys like Xavier Hutchinson, Robert Woods. He should be out of the league. Like none of these guys would suffice. But if you bring somebody in there like a Cooper Kupp, like a guy like that can partner up with the Dalton Schultz, that can partner up with the Nico Collins, because Nico Collins can do it all. I think that could be a sneaky dark horse little team. I don't think it's going to happen. I do envision him probably going to one of the more upper echelon teams, maybe one of those teams that surprised us last year in the Vikings. But I could see something like the Texans swoop in there and try to get a veteran wide receiver that's going to come and help CJ Stroud, help this offense a little bit. But they got to really focus on that offensive line, which I think they'll probably do that most likely in the draft.
I think they're hoping the scheme change with the change of offensive coordinators is going to help out the offensive line. I think that was a big issue.
And maybe even. Oh, go ahead, Bob.
I think Diggs might be back because I can't see anyone.
You think so?
Who else is going to pay him right now coming off the ACL? So it might be a good chance for him to kind of get back on track or maybe get one more nice salary.
Mm-hmm. And of course, not to wrap up this episode, but I'm really glad you guys didn't ask me what my unpopular opinion was, because like your guys is really tame, and that would really set. No, I don't think it's a good idea anymore.
Do it.
Let's go, Natter.
Unpopular opinion, bring it.
All right, I was gonna say if you have sex with a condom on, it doesn't count. Because hear me out. If I put gloves on, right? On
my God, Natter.
And I wash my hands, does that count? Like, are my hands clean all of a sudden?
Technically, no.
I'm gonna say there are a raft of condom wearing men would like you to know they feel differently about this.
I don't know. That's all I'm saying. It's like if I put gloves on and I wash my hands, like I didn't really wash my hands. So like if I just put like a condom on and does that mean I had? No, not really.
That's an unpopular opinion.
That's all I'm saying.
Like I feel way better about my opinion now.
That was the point of it, wasn't it?
Look, you're right, Natter. But before we go, Bob, tell us, all the amazing things that you continue to do, the things that you're going to be doing this off season as well. I know that you've got a ton of stuff going on because I see it every day. What do you?
Tons of stuff going on in football, guys. My weekly fantasy notebook will be available every weekend. It probably goes up on Friday, but comes in your email if you're an email subscriber to the daily update. Do that. We'll be back with the full-time thing once we get past the draft, by the way. I'll also begin my On the Hot Seat live stream. We're doing tapes. We're going to start out with a combine winners and losers next week. So On the Hot Seat will be back. It'll be on every Tuesday. A serious show. This is the first time in 14 years I'm not on weekly during the off season, but I will be on during the draft. And come July, you will be so sick of me, you won't know what to do. We'll be back 7 days a week once the season starts, and you'll be wishing that there wasn't so much Bob Harris. That's for sure.
Bob, if there's anybody sick of you, you tell them to come talk to me because I got your back. All right, Natter, talk to us, man.
I mean, I would tell you to follow my socials, but I really don't want you to.
Are you gonna have more condom takes?
You know, just
Natter,
don't look at my replies like on Twitter or X now. Actually,
we do need a sponsor. So
actually, I did create a burner account just so I could bully people
good call.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad now. Like it's when people go in the bathroom, they like either like watch YouTube, stuff like that, maybe go on Instagram Reels. I look at like who's currently being like canceled at the moment, and I pile on it. Just not because like I care about what they're piling on. I just want to pile on something. Or what I do now, this one's really mean. What I do now is I'll look at like the stock market stuff, and I'll look at people who are currently losing a lot of money on something, and then I'll make fun of them for it.
Well done.
Yeah. I'm twisting the knife on that. It's bad. It's fun though. I get a joy in it. Like
what do you got going, Tip?
For me, look, I got Football Guys. I'm super excited to be alongside Bob Harris, the great people at Football Guys. We're gonna have some more people from Football Guys on the show as well, so look out for that. I don't go out there twisting knives and people that losing money because maybe I'm trying to get some of that money too. So I'll be out there to give them a hug, put my arm around their shoulder, say it's gonna be okay, and we can get through this together. But I'm also doing some other content creating for Sports Affiliation. Gonna be doing some articles for them. Gonna be doing some articles for Football Guys, and I might have another little surprise for you guys, but I can't say anything just quite yet. So I'll just keep my mouth shut on that one, and I'll announce it when I can announce it. But other than that, man, I am enjoying the podcast life. Again, I'm ready to do it. We're going to have great guests, and specifically great guests that are in the fantasy football industry. But we're not going to be talking fantasy football all the time, guys. We're going to be talking what's interesting to them. What are they into in the off season? What do they got going on? I know that Bob Harris has got a lot of things going on, but also if you guys take a look, Bob Harris is a really cool dude. Like he's a really chill dude. I learned not too long ago that he used to work and live on a farm or a ranch. Is that right, Bob?
That is true.
That's pretty cool stuff. That's pretty cool stuff. Right. Like, I mean, like, so this is what we're here to do. We're here to just have fun with the Level Up podcast. I appreciate everybody who's tuning in. I appreciate you guys on Spotify, X, YouTube. Bob Harris, thank you so much for coming on and being our first guest. Natter, what else do we have?
Well, that's going to have to wrap up this episode. Well, of course, as everybody already mentioned before, make sure to hit the subscribe, follow, and all that good stuff. But other than that, hey,
go find Natter's burner account. I'm looking right now.
No, please don't.
One thing I did forget. Next week, guys, we have Scott the King Engel on. So Scott the King Engel will be on. The King lives. The King lives. So he will be on with us. So you know what? That's all we have for tonight. Natter, let's go, bro. Let's do it. We'll see you guys next week.
Let's go. Now remember, guys, like my unpopular, it's still right. Just because it's unpopular doesn't make it wrong. It's completely right.
You're right.
I found your burner. It's horrible.
Which one is it?
I'm not going to give it out.
No.